Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, let me say this right off the bat really quick. I don't want to say this every time I start a video, but I noticed my views have gone down. But this is something else I've noticed. Like in the last week, the views went down, and instead of taking the tactic, like what can I do to get my views back? What can I talk about? Can I talk about Bam Margera? Can I talk about Britney Spears? What's going to get people's attention? I'm not doing that. Instead, like I've said yesterday, I've just thrown caution to the wind, and I decided to talk just from my heart. The things that I'm really thinking about each day. And since I think I'm a pretty normal guy, I'm hoping it'll resound with other people. But more than that, I look back over the last 3 or 4 days, the videos I've done, and they haven't gotten a lot of views at all. They got some of the lowest views I've ever gotten. But there's some of the videos that I'm the most happy with, that I'm the most proud of, and I guess that's what matters to me. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, I urge you guys, there's going to be a link down below. This is about a 24-year-old Russian woman, Ariana Glazunova, okay, in the city of Tbilisi, Russia. And she's having the best time of her life. And she's singing, she's passing the phone back and forth. The link will be right down below to this. And there's a subway opening. It's like the old Soviet style subway entrance. And there's a cement lip that's about a foot wide all the way around, and only about maybe 8 inches high. So you could fall right into this hole. It's a stairway going down into the subway. It drops down a good 20 feet probably to the landing. And there's only like a little 8-inch step, that you could trip over. And she's singing and she's laughing and she's having a great time. It sounds like she's with one or maybe two friends, and she's having the time of her life. You could really tell she's enjoying it herself. And then she trips and she goes over the lip and she falls. She breaks her neck and she dies. And that's the video. And there's a few thoughts I want to share with you about this. As I watched this video, I thought about what was going through her mind in those last seconds as she was passing that video. I urge you guys to watch the video and look at her face, look at her eyes, listen to her voice. This is another thing. If anybody's Russian out there, I'm really curious to the song she was singing. Is it a pop song? Is it a patriotic song? Is it an old romance? I'm really curious the song she's singing. It's in Russian, so I don't know what she's saying, but I'm curious as to what the song is about. Okay, so if there's anybody that knows Russian, please let me know in the comments. But, I think about this too. That day, that morning when she got up, before that day started, did she know that, did it even cross her mind for a second, to really enjoy this day? This is your last day on earth. You will not, she will not be waking up tomorrow morning. This is the last morning. When she woke up that morning, that was the last morning she's ever going to wake up. It's the last time she's ever going to see her friend, last time she's ever going to talk to her parents. And I guarantee that never went through her head. She more than likely she thought, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a long life, I'm going to have kids, I got a full, infinite life ahead of me, I got all these choices, the world is mine. And I want to say this. I'm not saying this to sound scary or sad, but I just want to say this, that you need to enjoy every single day on this earth. I don't want to sound, I don't want to sound goofy, but when I go for my walk every morning, I've gotten in the habit of doing this, whether it's raining or snowing or, regardless of the weather or how I feel, I look up at the sky as I go out the door, and I think to myself, thank God for another day on this earth. I really say, I know that sounds goofy, but I really say, like, thank you, God, for another beautiful day on this earth, and because I've had a lot of close calls. Okay, so like I said, watch, if you want to watch this video, and I just wonder what was going through her mind that morning. She had no clue that was going to be her last day on earth. So then you think about you or me. The same thing is going to happen to you, to me, to everyone watching this video. When your last day comes, more than likely you will have no clue, especially if you're younger like me. You'll have no clue. The thing that kind of has hit me in the last, I'd say 2 years, since I'm 58 years old. I'm going to be 59 soon. And I realized that I have a very finite, I've never been married. I've never had kids. And now I'm almost starting to ask myself why I didn't, because I don't have time anymore. I'm lucky if I have 20 more years on this earth. If I go by the usual, how long a male my age is supposed to live, I only have 19 years, on average, and then I see in the newspaper, I see like sports figures. Mutombo, I forgot what his name was there, the baseball player that just died. He was 60 years old. You see people like my age, 58, 50, 58, 59, 60, or whatever, all of a sudden coming down with some disease and passing away. And it hits me that this, I might not even see this Christmas. And I don't say that just to sound scary or sad or anything like that, because it's going to happen. Just as sure as you're born, you're going to die, and that's just the way it is. Let me say this. I mentioned this about 2 weeks ago. I kind of pushed myself beyond what I should have, like riding my bike and exercising. I mean, I was out there for hours in the sun, and I got very dehydrated. And it got to the point where I started running a temperature, and I really did not feel good at all. And I started to get scared. Like, did I damage myself? Did I damage my heart or my kidneys or something? And I really started to get worried. And I thought about it. The thing that went through my head is like, I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. But it's not because of me. It's like, I don't want to die because I don't want to leave my family. I feel like my mother and my sister need me here. My father passed away when I was 9 years old. So it was just my mom and my sister and me when we were growing up. They're married now. They have husbands and everything, but we're still very tight. And I don't want to hurt them. That's the thing that's most important to me now. Okay, so as I watched this video, there's a couple things that came to mind. The mindset I had back when I was using, okay, there's two incidents that came to mind that was very similar to her falling down. Because believe me, I've been to the hospital dozens of times. I've been in intensive care at least a dozen times. I've broken a dozen bones. I've been stitched up a couple dozen times. I've been in multiple car accidents. I've had pneumonia twice. All right. There's two incidents that came to mind, and I thought about my mindset back then and my mindset now. Back then, I used to live my life, and looking back, I realized I was angry and I was broken. I didn't have any belief. I lost a lot of friends when I was young and family members, and I just took the attitude of live for today. I don't know if I'm going to be around tomorrow. You could die tomorrow. It could be a war, a nuclear war. So I'm going to live for today. I'm going to party it up. That was my attitude back then. Now, I think more about, like I said, I think more about the people around me and the impact I have on other people, and appreciating every day, and not tempting fate. I think that's the key here. Okay, there was two incidents that this reminded me of. The first one, I was every day I would go beg, borrow, or steal money for my daily fix of heroin. And this one day, my mother was a mail lady. She was a postal lady. She delivered mail on a mail route. And I would go find her almost every day to bum $30 or $40 from her. And this is pathetic. At 40 years old, I was doing this. And I went and found her. And she was up a dirt driveway at a house. So I was waiting for her to finish her delivery and come back down. And there was a bridge going over a river. And there was two railings on either side of the bridge. It was a very narrow, kind of old cement bridge with dirt on it. And I stood there and I was waiting for her to come back down. And I was, I look back and I remember, I'm sure right then I was thinking about how I could, what I was going to lie about, how I was going to get money, how I was going to get my fix that day. So I wasn't really thinking about my surroundings. And I leaned back against one of those railings, just like a homemade metal pole, and sunk into cement buckets in the ground. Okay. So I leaned back against it. And there's nothing holding the buckets down. And I just start going over backwards. And I remember seeing the sky, and I'm just falling and falling because I have no idea how deep this ravine is. And I'm just going backwards. And there's no chance of catching myself. I'm going to land on my head or my back. And I know this. And I see the sky going further and further, and that feeling, right? I'm getting goosebumps right now. And I thought to myself, this sounds kind of silly or funny, but I thought to myself, man, this is going to hurt. That's what I thought to myself. And I got lucky. The ravine was dry. It was full of leaves. And I missed a stump and stones by like this much. And I hit on my head. I landed on the back, my shoulders and my head. And I flipped over a couple times backwards. And I landed in a pile of freaking leaves. And I didn't get hurt. I was shaking like a leaf, and I was more scared. But that's one thing this reminds me of. Another time, when I was about 18 years old, I was working in a factory, and me and my buddy decided to go get stoned and smoke a joint at break time. So we went out and we climbed up a water tower to smoke this joint. We finished it. We came back down, and there's a quicker way to get in the building if you kind of edged along a little narrow ledge about this wide. There was a wall, and there was a little ledge that came out about 8 inches, and if I edged along it, and it was about 12 feet down onto a concrete pad, I could beat my friend in and go and get in quicker, and I'm all stoned. So I'm like, I'm gonna go in that way and beat him. So I start edging my way along the wall on this little ledge, about 8 inches wide. My feet, I'm facing the wall. I got my face up against the wall, and I'm all stoned. And all of a sudden, I lose my balance. And once again, I start going over backwards. Except this time, there's cement, and it's 12 feet down onto cement, and I'm falling backwards head first. And it didn't turn out good. That's where I got this. If you look at my wrists, that's from. At the very last minute, I went to grab for the end of the wall, just like, as I was going backwards, I just went to swing to try to grab the end of the wall. I was almost at the end of the wall, and I missed it, and it spun me around, and I went head first, or shoulder first, to the cement pad, and this hand impacted the ground first, and it pushed these two bones up onto it broke this arm right in half, and these two bones went on top of these. My arm bent here in the middle. When I stood up, my arm was about this much shorter, and it bent right here in the middle. I had a new wrist. It was about this thick. The bones didn't go through the skin. I went into shock. My stoned friend looks at me, my best friend, and he goes, "Dude, definite bone damage." I swear to God, that's I look back, at the stupidity of that, and how I thought I was living life for the moment, man. I'm enjoying every day, and I wasn't enjoying every day. I was lying and cheating and stealing and doing stupid things, and there was no joy or fun in that. The last 18 years, I don't want to sound goofy again, but the last 18 years of my life have been the best years of my life, beyond doubt. The last 18 years that I've been clean and sober. I'm coming up, the 23rd of October will be 18 years clean and sober, and they've been by far the most rewarding. I've reached the most goals. The women I've dated, I've been the most happy with. They're successful. I'm successful. I feel good. Every day, I text my mom, my 80-year-old mom. I'm not saying I'm not a mama's boy, but I love her. And I know she's got a limited amount of time on this earth. Just yesterday, I try at least once or twice a week, I try to go to her house and just spend maybe an hour in the morning sitting down and talking to her. Not all day, but just for an hour, because she's got a life and I got a life, but I just spend, a couple hours every week, and I just sit there and I look at her and I remember my mother, the mom that was there after my dad died, that did everything for me and my sister, the 30-year-old mom from 50 years ago, and I could still hear her same laugh, and I'm gonna start crying. Those moments mean the most to me. That's the most important thing in my life right now. It's not living life to the fullest, living every day for today, man, party it up. That was very empty. It really was. And it just led to trouble. It really did. It pulled me down, and there was no fun or joy in it. It really wasn't. I wasn't living my life to my fullest. I was running away from life is what I was doing. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. Check out the Ariana Glasanova and look at her face. And and it's hard to do, but I'm wondering what went through her mind when she got up that morning. What were her last thoughts? I'm glad that she spent the last moments on this earth so happy with her friend, singing. Her last moments on this earth were filled with joy and happiness, and that's good. Have a good Sunday.